get through this. Okay. There's been a lot of anticipation and request for efficiency audits. And I think this is something that people are very eager to see. Is this something that we're going to see at some point?
No. We're working on finalization of a new police table of organization that one of the gentlemen that worked for the state worked with me on. He has since left the state, so we're trying to get that that put together and have that ready for Mayor Zimmer. But things just didn't pan out the way I planned. The state was not able to provide us with the people that I wanted to come here. We got people on a part-time basis. We did do some hands-on technical work in environmental services, for example. One of the gentlemen that was with me on a part-time basis was able to ascertain some software, for example, that now provides that the public works, if you will, can have their complaints logged in, their work orders logged in, we can track the cost. So some very good hands-on work was done, but there was never a formal report and complete audit done. And again, I was supposed to have a person from fire. He was pulled in other directions. The city has Camden under state supervision and Patterson and other things. And I just never was able to get the kind of attention in Hoboken that was needed to have full-time people with me to conduct these audits.
Okay. Did the fire actually do one on their own, the fire department? Did they do some sort of audit or?
The city Hoboken Fire Department?
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, so really nobody got off the ground in any particular vantage point with this?
Not really, no. We have an informal, very informal work on the police table of organization.
Right.
And like I said, the people that I was able to bring in either on a short-term basis or a temporary basis were more concerned with hitting the ground running and getting some systems up and going, not really doing like we would normally do when I was at state, a 3 or 4 month assessment of the department,
right, and
then producing a formal white paper on that.
Okay, which leads to another big question that it's come up not only just from the public side but also from the city council, and I think this probably might be a manpower issue, but there's a lot of interest in doing some sort of forensic audits. I mean, is this something that the city could undertake at some point in the future?
Well,
and what would be your feelings about that? Because the corruption issue is something that's lingering in everybody's minds.
I think that there's a lot of TV shows on about forensic work, forensic accounting. Forensic accounting is really something that you delve into when there is a corruption. There's a hint of corruption. And forensic accounting involves doing research. And since I have been here, and since I've hired Nick, we have been doing research, complete research. The accounting department left something to be desired, and so Nick has had to research every single transaction, or not every single, but where it's problematic. So, and we've had issues, as Paul knows, and with over expenditures and ordinances not being followed and everything. And every single one of those has been researched. While we're not labeled forensic accountants, that's what forensic accounting is, and that's what we've done. And where we have found instances that we felt were questionable, I can assure you that everything has been turned over to the proper authorities.
Really?
Proper authorities.
Would you be able to speak about that at a later date?
Perhaps, and some of our work has already proved to come to fruition, as I'm sure you're aware. We did hire specific forensic accountants. In the case of the missing money from the parking garage, I worked with them, we hired them.
Okay.
But that was a very specific instance where we felt it was needed.
Okay. Well, we'd love to revisit that with you if and when that time does come up.
But that is,
Should probably be careful right now because that's an ongoing.
That's
No,
what I'm
we
saying.
won't- we
But I
don't
mean,
wanna-
but I just want to tell you, yes, we did hire, the city hired, we authorized our council to hire forensic accountants for that.
Okay.
But
I think the public would be happy to know that things of that nature potentially have been investigated just in the course of regular business.
right, and anything that I found or I will find, or anybody finds to come to me, I mean, I'm very lucky having had contacts with the state for a long time. I have, and I will continue to turn over things that I find to be irregular to the appropriate authorities. We cannot, we cannot do investigation work, so it has to go to the appropriate law enforcement agencies. And having worked with them many years, I know exactly what to do on that.
Okay. Another thing is that's I guess coming up quite a bit now is, people are already starting to look forward is, how financial reserves are an important component for bond ratings and solid cash management. What ballpark figure would be useful for Hoboken to budget for, I guess, over the next year or so?
Well, I think the general rule of thumb, because the state does not make any comment on the amount of surplus that one should retain, my general rule of thumb is to use in your budget, and by the way, this is the first year the city's had a surplus in a long time. Our actual cash surplus was $4.4 million, as compared to a $32 million cash deficit last year. I always use the rule of thumb as I budget no more than what I can expect to retain next year. Like I said, we had $4.4 million. We're going to use approximately $3 million, give or take, this year's budget with a reserve. And I anticipate almost double the 4.4 in surplus as a result of this year's budget in June 30th.
So for the second calendar year?
Yeah, I think we'll have much greater surplus. We've been very careful with our money. Our cash flow is certainly so much greater this year. And our goal with that, and why we're being so frugal, is to get that bond rating up. I met and I spoke with the bond rating agencies, and having my background in the state, I tried to explain to them the actual opportunities for state supervision. It's not necessarily negative. It's very positive because it infers that there's going to be great change and upward movement. But they have tunnel vision, and they look at certain benchmarks. And I've been through this with them with a lot of different cities in New Jersey. But they look at certain benchmarks, and unfortunately, they ignored the important benchmarks of the city of Hoboken, how vibrant it is, what their radio base is,
right.
The amount of wealth in Hoboken.
Okay.
They only use certain accounting benchmarks. So our goal is to turn that around, eventually, getting a very good bond rating, because we'll be increasing our surplus, our budgets are going down, our tax base is going to be stable, our tax rate will be stable once we get through this year.
Okay.
So, yes, that's one of our goals.